Hello and welcome back. So what is serverless? Now, with the serverless development model, developers are able to build, deploy and run applications without actually having to manage the servers. Now, the provisioning and management of servers and even the scaling of servers happens in the background and is totally taken care by the cloud provider, for example, AWS. And developers can simply focus on building their business logic or and not worry about provisioning of servers and management of servers. Now, once deployed, a serverless application will respond to traffic on its own. So, scaling up and scaling down of your application or underlying hardware happens almost in real time and are totally managed by the cloud provider. So, serverless doesn't mean that there are no servers in the background. Servers still exist. It's just that you don't have to manage them. In fact, in most of the cases, you do not have the visibility of where your code is actually running because you just focus on your code and not on the underlying hardware. Now, in the serverless architecture, we can build web applications using various cloud managed services provided by your cloud provider, like messaging services, network services, or different compute services, fully managed data store or databases to store and retrieve your data. You can also have object storages to store your files or images. For example, AWS S3, or in Azure we have blob storages or different messaging services to allow queues and publish subscription and streams. Serverless architecture also make your application cost effective and less expensive because there will always be pay per usage billing, so you don't pay for the resources that are idle or not in use. Serverless applications can enable you to implement microservices principles easily because serverless applications or architecture make it easier to modularize your macro applications into smaller microservices. Now, some of the benefits of using serverless architecture is lower cost because you always pay for resources that you use and not for the resources that are idle and not being utilized. Your application availability increases as unexpected loads or changes in the traffic are managed by cloud provider. So the scaling up and scaling down of your application happens in almost real time without any interference from the developers and is totally managed by your cloud provider. And of course, your development speed increases as developers now spend time on business logic and not have to worry about managing the infrastructure, different servers, provisioning the servers and discarding the servers. So all those things are managed by your cloud provider. All you have to do is simply set the rules and these things will be taken care of. Now, serverless framework is ideal to create your serverless architecture because it allows you to easily create, deploy, update and manage code and lambda functions and other services in your cloud by using predefined templates that they provide in a YAML file. And also integrating your serverless framework is very easy with most of the CI/CD tools like Jenkins, AWS pipelines. So it's really very easy to integrate with your DevOps pipeline. The serverless framework YAML and JSON file that we are going to write will get compiled into CloudFormation JSON files, which AWS understands. So serverless framework can be thought of as a wrapper which makes your life easier to create your AWS or any other cloud serverless stacks and has complete CloudFormation support. Now for this course, to set up our development environment, we are going to use Node.js version 12. We also need to set up our AWS CLI. We will create an IAM user in our AWS account, get the programmatic access keys. We will also install, of course, the serverless framework npm package, and you will also need VS Code or any other code IDE. Also, we are going to take the CLI approach, so we are not going to use Serverless Framework console. So throughout the course, we are just going to use our CLI